Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. We're about ready to get things started here. Welcome to the second week of our Introduction to NLign web series. My name is Chris O'Connell. I'm an application engineer here at NLign Analytics. NLign is a product suite that has multiple programs that include engineering analysis tools as well as a front-end data capturing software. Our overall goal is to make aircraft safer and more cost-effective by having the best data readily available for engineers and maintenance personnel that need to make decisions quickly and effectively. Our two most commonly used products are NLign, which we'll be discussing today, and NCheck, which will be discussed in a later session. NLign is our engineering analysis tool. Inside of NLign, you are able to store 2D, 3D, or even FEM models, depending on what you have available, and record data about the aircraft you are dealing with. NLign acts as the brain of the system we're supporting. It hosts the setup for all of your Trendable types, which we will talk about, report templates, and the setup for your NCheck jobs. In addition to these setups, also inside of NLign, there are many different analysis and prognostic tools that can be used depending on the environment and situation you are in. Tools such as our data set filtering and calculations, color presets, our data clustering tool, and results graphs. Now, everything I mentioned is an important tool that will be covered in later sessions. Today, I just want to start with the very basics and work our way into those tools as we progress through these web classes. We're going to go ahead and start on slide 4 here. So I've used this word trendable a few times, but I really want to define what it is. A trendable in its simplest form is a record of information. Eugene and I have even been known to interchange the words trendable and record on occasion. A trendable can contain fields with 7 different types of information. You can see on this slide, a trendable can contain an XYZ location, a text field, a numeric field, a date, a list, a system user, or a URL link. Now, we'll cover the Trendable setup more in depth during the admin class next week, but I do want to bring up a note on one of these. You'll see specifically the link here as a URL. These can act as a hyperlink to other information that may be relevant to the Trendable that's being put into the system. Later on, you'll see that you can also link one Trendable to another with a different kind of linked field. So we use the same term, but it carries a different meaning. You'll see what I mean when we get there. So we'll continue on to slide number 5. So Trendable type setup. We don't want to get.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Is it only one field? Can you only put one link in there?
You can have multiple.
Awesome.
Okay. So again, I don't want to get too far into this Trendable type setup or anything. Again, that'll be part of the admin class, but I wanted you to all see how these Trendable fields are set up and how they're used together. Here are 2 common Trendable type setups. The first is just an inspection. You can see the inspection is the Trendable type or the type of record that the user wants to put in. Underneath are the aircraft, the date, description, and assigned base. The date is very self-explanatory. The description here is a text field, meaning you can enter in whatever they like. And the aircraft and assigned bases are lists, meaning that the user can only select an aircraft or base that has been previously entered by an admin. We tend to use lists for fields we don't want somebody entering the wrong information on. The trade-off is that you must have already entered every selection that the user could possibly need. Below is a discrepancy that follows those same principles, using lists wherever possible. You can also see a location field for an XYZ location and some numeric fields down here. Assuming you have Trendables already put into the system, you would want to be able to see them. To demonstrate this, I'm going to do this on NLign so everyone on the WebEx can see. I'll talk through what I'm doing so those of you without WebEx can follow along. So you're going to open up NLign. You can see we don't have any points on our model here. This is because we haven't loaded a data set yet. To do that, just select the data set you want in the drop-down at the top of our model or out here on the side. We're going to go with crack analysis. and hit play. I'll rotate the model so you can see a little bit better. You can see all of these points show up. To view more information about a point, you can click it once. And you can see up here in the top left-hand corner, some information shows up. If you want to get a better view, you can double click and you'll open up the Trendable Details screen. Here you can view more information about the record as well as edit and add new records. For now, we're just going to close this window and head back to the home screen. You can also access that screen in the results table, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. So now we're going to talk about adding and editing Trendables. There are a few different ways you can do this. In addition to multiple methods there are in NLign, you can also create Trendables from NCheck. Today we're going to focus on NLign. As you can see in this slide, there are multiple ways to add a Trendable, either clicking the big orange button up at the top left, or you can click File, New Trendable. I know the PowerPoint has Edit highlighted here. It should be File though. Or if you have a results table open, you can click the Add button there as well. So no matter the option you choose, a small window will appear asking what Trendable you would like to add. I'm going to jump back to NLign just to show you all that. If I click the orange button up here, it immediately asks what kind of Trendable type I would like to create. This is just telling you about the help button. If you run into any problems or are confused, this button is on most of our screens and will take you to a relevant section of the user manual. This is showing you that each Trendable gets its own ID. The Trendable type and the current asset are also displayed. It's important to note that there are some fields that every single Trendable will have, like the ID number and type, so admins will not have to enter those fields. This section contains the different fields that were added by the admins. This slide is showing you the numeric field that will only allow numbers, the text field that will allow anything, and the date field that actually opens up a calendar. You can see here there are different types of lists as well. The standard list field only allows you to make one selection. The multi-select field actually allows you to select more than once. This is showing you how to quickly select all or clear the selections in the list. You can also add a new item on the fly. This is showing you the XYZ location. There are a few different ways to fill this in. If you already know the XYZ, you can punch it directly into the fields. There's also a function in NLign called named regions. We'll cover these in a later class, but basically they are areas on the aircraft that you want to pre-populate information about and give specific names to. You do this so that they can quickly be accessed here or in the tree view on the home screen. We also have the ability to place the location directly on the model. Simply hold Control and click anywhere on the model, and it'll place the marker where you clicked. You can see here there are a few different annotation tools to draw on the model. I don't want to get too in-depth on these, but the simplest tool is the single dot in the crosshairs to the right of the mouse icon. By clicking this and holding the Control button, you can place a single point on the model to indicate where you're placing your Trendable. The pencil icon allows you to draw an area on the model, and the icon with the crosshairs and a point and circle will automatically calculate the center of that area for you. There's an example problem. If you have the software, I would like you to try and follow along. And we're going to add a Trendable to our UAV model here. To do that, I'm just going to click the Add Trendable button. And I want to add a crack. We'll hit OK. It takes us to the Trendable Details screen. I'm just going to make this an IAT inspection for tail number 79-12346. Click that. And I'm going to drop a point on the landing gear. We're going to say that we have a crack down here at the bottom of our landing gear. And all I'm going to do is click the crosshairs up here, hold Control, place my point. And we can give it a description while we're at it. Just say crack on landing gear. And part numbers, we don't have a landing gear part, so we're going to add one really quick. Okay. And then we're going to save. We can see here it tells us we're missing a required field for crack length. We'll say this is just a 1/4 inch. And we saved our Trendable. Now we can close. In NLign, we also have the ability to create relations and connections. Relations are free-form relationships between Trendables. They simply indicate that the two Trendables are related in some way. Connections are more structured, hierarchical relationships between Trendables. They're defined as part of the Trendable type and always include one linked or copied field. So here you can see that you would have this inspection that acts as a connection field, and the aircraft, date inspected, and assigned base as the linked fields. So when you select your inspection, those linked fields will populate with corresponding data. This is showing you that you would open the list and select the inspection. You can even see the linked fields that will be populated in the grid here. This is showing you how to add, edit, or remove connections, which you can do inside the Trendable. So you can add files as attachments in the Trendables. They can be just about any type of file that you would need. Hitting the Add Attachment button will bring you to this screen. You can see we have a folder structure on the left for you to find the file that you're looking for and where to drop it actually, and the attachment on the right. You can copy and paste files from other locations.
Is there a limited number of file types that this will accept?
No, you can add pretty much any file type that I'm aware of. You could add PDFs, BDFs, Excel, Microsoft Word, any type of file that you've got, images, you can add those on records.
How about a size limitation?
The size limitation would correspond to any server size that you have carved out for this database. So whatever your organization has set up is the limitation.
This is just showing you that you can open or download the file attachment locally on your machine. You can also edit, add, and delete the selected file. To start, we're going to open up the Trendable that we just created. Should be down here. I should be able to click it. All right. Click the edit button at the bottom so we can actually make changes to this down here in the bottom right-hand corner. We're going to add a new connection under the IAT inspection field to a new tail number. You can use the plus icon to open a new connection screen. We'll hit plus right here, and we're going to select a new tail number from the drop-down list. If you had a brand new tail number coming in, you add it using the plus icon out here. For right now, we're just going to select one that's already here though. And we're going to hit save and close this out. You can see it automatically updates our IAT inspection number as well as our tail number down here, which again is that linked field. So next we're going to attach a file to this. All you have to do is hit the paperclip up here. Select where you want to drop this. And we're going to hit the plus icon up here to add the new field, or sorry, the new file. And we're just going to use this, this text file right here. We'll select it by double clicking and hit OK. And now you can see that we have this attachment show up here at the top. All right. And you can add whatever else you want. If you wanted to add a description, you can. For right now, we're just going to hit save and close out of here. All right. So any questions on attaching a file or setting up these linked fields? So the results table, what we're talking about now, is a tabular view of information that we use in NLign to give users relevant information. They look similar to an Excel file format and can be opened using the table icon at the top of the NLign home screen. The results table has a lot of functions, including opening a Trendable, adding a new Trendable, deleting Trendables, bulk editing, merging two Trendables into one, cloning a Trendable, showing statistics, or pinning Trendables to keep them in the table. To open a Trendable, you can either double click on it in the grid or click the pencil icon up top, which is showing you right here. To add a new Trendable, you just hit the plus icon up here at the top. To delete a Trendable, you just use the X marker up here at the top as well. This slide is a little outdated. To bulk edit in version 7.1, which I believe some of you should be running on, you would need to click the three blue circles at the top and select the bulk edit from the drop-down list that shows up. Bulk edit is a helpful tool if you know a mistake was maybe made on multiple Trendables, or you simply just want to update information on multiple Trendables at the same time. Right, merging two Trendables into one. Again, this slide is a little outdated. You would first need to select the three blue circles icon and then merge icon from the drop-down list. The merge feature is useful if two Trendables were created for the same information on accident, or you just otherwise need to combine the information into one Trendable. You simply select the Trendables to merge and hit the icon. The system will ask you what Trendable ID to use and will automatically merge the two for you. Cloning a Trendable, again, you'll first need to hit the blue circle icon and then clone icon. This will create an exact copy of the selected Trendable under a new ID. It's very useful for quickly creating multiple Trendables with the same basic information. Maybe there's only one or two small variations between the two, and this is just a quick, fast, and effective way of doing that. We have a stats tool built into the results table in NLign. Again, this is a little bit of an older screenshot here. For 7.1, the icon has been moved to the top of the results table to keep everything together, and the symbol is now an X bar and sigma icon with a drop down next to it. You can use this to see the stats for only the selected Trendables, all your Trendables, or to hide the stats table altogether. I'm going to pop open NLign just so you can all see where I'm looking at. So first off, right now we just have our model view. To open our results table, we click the table icon up here at the top. And this gives us our trending results table. So after I select, you can see the three blue circle icon shows up here. Click the drop down, you get all of these other options. You can see the bulk edit, merge, and clone options. And then the stats table up here is this X bar and sigma icon. So we can show the statistics for the selected Trendable. And you can just see the min, max, medium, and mean, standard deviation. We can add to this by selecting more. You can see these values down here changing. Or we can select the entire results table here and include them all in our calculations down below. We can also hide the stats table. You can also pin Trendables to the results table so you don't lose them using the icon out to the left. We give you the ability to customize these tables so you're not only seeing, or so you're only seeing the best information, or at least what you're looking for specifically. You can drag and drop the column headers to the left and right depending on what you want to see without having to scroll. You can also change what fields you'd like to see by right-clicking in the column header section and then just selecting the different fields that you would actually like to see. So there isn't an example portion for this section. Damage mapping is a unique tool that enables users in NLign to annotate physical damage on an aircraft in a digital environment. This helps keep our constant thread of information strong. The way this works is we can use NLign to align a photo of the physical aircraft where damage may have taken place to the 3D model. And then we trace over the model where the damage has occurred, and this creates an accurate location and Trendable to be used when analyzing the defect. The first step is you have to have a Trendable open. Preferably, it should be related to the defect you're annotating. In this example on the slide, it's just a dent. You can see up here. You must also have a photo attached to the Trendable in order to map it. Once you have the photo attached, you can open the attachment viewer in the top right. This will open up the picture of the aircraft you took. And in this case, we're looking at a scaled down model version of a UAV. You can see this sort of defect area on the wing here that we have outlined in blue. Now, the name of the game here is aligning the model to the picture so that you can accurately represent where the damage took place. It should look something like this. These are just the menu items on the top right of the attachment viewer's screen. You can see here how you would scroll through the attachments or take a new photo, but the important piece here is the pin icon. This will actually open up the damage mapping screen. You can see this screen, this is what the pin icon would bring up. Now with this tool, you have to accurately line up at least 6 points or features, as you can see here. You'll need to have already created these reference points in a different part of the system. The model will automatically populate in the damage mapping screen with these points. You can see those here in red on the model view. Creating those points will be in a later session, but you will use them to align the model with the picture taken. There are also different shape tools up here at the top. You can use these if there are reference points like lines or cubes that make more sense to get the picture aligned better. You can actually see in blue here where we used a seam line on the side of the aircraft to help align the image. After you have your 6 points aligned, go ahead and hit next. This shows you the model and the picture together. You can see the faint outline of the model over the picture. This is just showing you can adjust the photo settings here if you need to enhance anything. You can see here we're using this pen to manually draw the damage on the model. There's also a wand that will select similar pixels in a given area. Depending on the quality of your photo, this may or may not be the best option. There's also an eraser and a cropping tool to help you get this damage area a little bit more accurate. You're done mapping out the damage, you click the finish button. This will map all of the points of the affected area onto the model and give you an accurate XYZ location that was calculated by the software. See the annotation on the model here, and that the location has been set in the Trendable. This is another example on the UAV model that we have. I don't expect that you all would have the setup necessary to do this with the reference points and everything. So I'll run through an example together on my machine, and you all can follow along. Close out of here, open up the model view. So we're going to create a new Trendable. In this case, we're just going to do a dent. Like I said, we have to add an attachment first. We'll come up here to the paper clip. Drop them in the dent attachments, add a new file. And I already have this picture of our model UAV. So I'm just going to double click that and hit OK. We have that attachment set up. I'm going to open up the attachment viewer. And you can see here the side-by-side. Now I'm going to use the pin icon up here to open up the damage mapping screen. So you can see here, I already have these reference points set up on our UAV model. Now I just need to make sure that there are corresponding points on the picture so that we can align the model to the picture over here and start mapping this affected area. So to do that, all I'm going to do, click this cuboid here, hold Control, and click in the corresponding area on the picture of the aircraft. Now, I'm doing this very quickly, so it might not be the most accurate because I'm just demonstrating. If I took another minute or two, I could get these to align almost perfectly. We're just going to do 6 of these really quickly. You can see that we can scroll in. Again, I'm holding Shift and clicking to align these points. Get the opposite wingtip here. Just click there, hold Shift, click on the picture.
It's actually Control. He's holding Control.
Sorry, what did I say?
Shift.
That is control. There's actually directions up here as well. So holding control and clicking. Now I'm actually going to hold control and drag down along this seam line. Try to get this lined up. How many is that? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. So we should be okay to go ahead and hit next down here. You can see the outline of the model over the picture. It's not terrible. It's good enough for demonstration purposes. Obviously, you would want to be much more careful when you're plotting those points.
So when you were doing the seam line, does it need to be at like the exact location along the fuselage or just along the same like water line?
So let's say you have a reference feature that is a line. As you go to do damage mapping, NLign interprets a line as a mathematical line. So you don't have to, let's say the reference feature is some line segment. You don't have to do the exact same line segment. All you've got to do is pick 2 points that are along that same line.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to decide if I needed to be the same distance from the nose to start the line segment, but no, just along the same line.
Right, because NLign does the math and calculates the mathematical, a mathematical line continues forever. So as long as your line segment lies along that mathematical line, you should be good.
Thank you.
Sure.
So now we're going to start actually mapping where this damage occurred. So I'm going to zoom in here. You can see we sort of trace this with like a blue Sharpie on the model. Probably going to highlight the entire wing. So I can actually either delete that, or I could have used this cropping tool to actually just keep what I wanted around the actual damage. For right now, though, we're just going to use the pencil to draw out our shape. So again, I'm holding control and just drawing along this line. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit finish.
Right now you're probably using a mouse, but if you did this on a tablet, you could do it with a stylus.
Yep, you can see here, we now have this damage mapped to our model view. You can even see the trendable point somewhere down there in the center. This location is calculated by it's done by looking at all the points that we've drawn out on the wing here and calculating the center of them. Okay, so we get our accurate XYZ location. And now we'll save this. And we're missing a field for the IAT inspection. We'll just give it a tail number here. Now we'll save it. We've now mapped this damage to our model. All right.
That is mapped on the surface, right?
That's correct. What NLign does is it takes each pixel and represents that pixel as a point on the surface of the model. So, but you can hide and show different parts in the model. Let's say you've got something on a rib. You can hide and show the wing skin and map something onto the rib if you want as well. Another thing, it will only map to the surface of the rib. Right? It doesn't have a depth feature to it.
Right.
You'll have to record, let's say you have a dent or something that propagates down into your model, you would have to create another field to capture depth information and say, hey, this dent goes down or this gouge goes down a 10th of an inch or 20th of an inch, something like that, right?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Let's say that you're taking these pictures of your damage at the same angle and orientation. Is there any way that you can save the reference markers across the blade and then just draw the damage on for each new, like say if you have many wings or panels that you're looking at, right? And you have them taken at the same orientation. Can you save the reference points that you've marked on those images across those many images to cut down on the work of clicking those points every time?
There's a couple of things you can do with a setup. So if you have some type of a jig where you take the picture exactly the same every time, you can even get it to be automated.
Okay.
But let's say you know you don't want to quite go that far. But let's say you typically have someone take a picture in, on average, some type of an orientation. What you can do is you can save that typical orientation into NLign.
Okay.
And so as it does some initial guessing on how to align and map the picture to the model, it will be faster and more accurate. You can save the reference features, but you know, in a picture, it's just a bunch of pixels and it doesn't know which pixel is which. So as you feed it a picture from a freehand, from someone taking that image freehand, it doesn't know which pixel is which. So that's why you have to pick, hey, this pixel represents this edge of the wing, this pixel represents the other edge of the wing, this pixel represents a hole. Another thing you can do is, let's say you have a standard set of cameras you use out on the shop floor. You can add those cameras to the NLign database, and there's some meta information about the cameras that will help it align faster. You don't need, if it can recognize what camera the picture was taken on, you only need 4 points to get it to align, not the typical 6. So that can also save you time as well.